Why is Europe fascist? Is considered pejorative, but political parties are still named communist despite the millions of deaths caused by communism. Thank you, Alex. Really appreciate the support. Alex, you're here. Yeah. Alex is right here. He's over here as well. It's not just in Europe. I mean, in the United States, if somebody walked into a room and said, I'm a Nazi, he would be shunned, he would be kicked out, he would be treated like dirt, he would, in most places, right? But when it comes to somebody walking into a party, say I'm a communist, people go, oh, interesting. There is clearly, people don't hold the two as the same. And I think it's because culturally, we associate fascism with racism first. And racism, and we associate fascism with authoritarianism. And those are the things that stand out. When fascism is addressed, that's what comes to mind. That's the first thing that comes to mind, racism and authoritarianism. And we're all against racism and authoritarianism. That is just a given. That is well established, that we're against racism and authoritarianism, that is culturally being accepted and determined, and there's no questions about it, and everybody knows that's bad. Unless, of course, you're racist of the left, and then, like critical race theory and stuff, and then anything goes, right? But anything goes there because their racism is couched in a different context. The racism of the left, very similar to communism, is couched in the context of equality, right? So the left is racist in order to achieve equality, so it's okay. Racism in order to achieve superiority is not okay, but in order to achieve equality is okay, right? And this is the thing, communism is viewed as a system of equality, not of authoritarianism primarily. Yes, okay, so communism went the wrong way by being authoritarian in its seeking out equality. But you can have communism that's not, we're told, authoritarian. We just want equality. Now, we all know here, I think, and if you don't know, read my book, Equal is Unfair. We all know that equality necessitates authoritarianism. You cannot get equality of outcome without authoritarianism. But they pretend it isn't. And equality is a moral concept that's never been challenged. The goal of equality has never been questioned, other than Ayn Rand. It really hasn't been challenged morally, philosophically, epistemologically. Because equality, what's the argument against equality epistemologically? Well, it's impossible. And things that are impossible have no standing, cannot be values, cannot be things we strive towards. They're impossible. And there's a reason they're impossible. Practical is the moral is the practical. If they're impossible, they're immoral. So people hold communism as, you hear it all the time, good in theory, bad in practice. And what's the theory? Why is the theory good? Because equality is good. Because egalitarianism is good. And again, CRT, the way critical race theory is presented, is not blacks are better than whites. It's presented as we have to discriminate for blacks in order to make them equal to whites. Equal in what sense? Not equal before the law, then you wouldn't be discriminating. Equal in outcome. And they take the average wages of whites, the average, whatever, right, wealth or whatever the criteria is. But it's always how many people admitted to a particular university, how many people in a class, how many people in movies, how many people, they don't do that to basketball, conveniently, right? But, so we haven't challenged, our culture has not challenged morally the fundamental beliefs of communism. And that's true in Europe, certainly, and it's true in the United States. We've challenged morally the fundamental assumptions behind fascism, but not behind communism. So fascism is unacceptable because it's clearly immoral. Communism It's kind of unpleasant because, yeah, a lot of people died and it failed and it was really miserable. But it's a good theory. I wish it could be put into practice, right? Because morally, we've never challenged those ideas.
And to begin with, I wonder if I can ask you to capsulize. I know this is difficult. Can I ask you to capsulize your philosophy? What is Randism?
First of all, I do not call it Randism, and I don't like that name. I call it objectivism.
All right.
Meaning a philosophy based on objective reality. Now let me explain it as briefly as I can. First, my philosophy is based on the concept that reality exists as an objective absolute, that man's mind, reason, is his means of perceiving it, and that man needs a rational morality. I am primarily the creator of a new code of morality which has so far been believed impossible, namely a morality not based on faith. Not on faith, not on arbitrary whim, not on emotion, not on arbitrary edict, mystical or social, but on reason, a morality which can be proved by means of logic, which can be demonstrated to be true and necessary.
All right. All right.
Now, may I define what my morality is?
All right.
Because this is merely an introduction. My morality is based on man's life as a standard of value. And since man's mind is his basic means of survival, I hold that if man wants to live on earth and to live as a human being, he has to hold reason as an absolute, by which I mean that he has to hold reason as his only guide to action, and that he must live by the independent judgment of his own mind, that his highest moral purpose is the achievement of his own happiness, and that he must not force other people, nor accept their right to force him, that each man must live as an end in himself and follow his own rational self-interest.
All right, before we go on, reminder, please like the show. We've got 163 live listeners right now, 30 likes. That should be at least 100. I figure at least 100 of you actually like the show. Maybe there are like 60 of the Matthews out there who hate it. But at least the people who are liking it, you know, I want to see a thumbs up. There you go. Start liking it. I want to see that go to 100. All it takes is a click of a thing, whether you're looking at this. And you know, the likes matter. It's not an issue of my ego. It's an issue of the algorithm. The more you like something, the more the algorithm likes it. So, you know, and if you don't like the show, give it a thumbs down. Let's see your actual views being reflected in the likes. But if you like it, don't just sit there. Help get the show promoted. Of course, you should also share. And you can support the show at JeronBrookShow.com/support, or on Patreon or Subscribestar or Locals, and show your support for the work, for the value hopefully you're receiving from this. And of course, don't forget, if you're not a subscriber, even if you just come here to troll, or even if you're here like Matthew to defend Marx, then you should subscribe, because that way you'll know when to show up. You'll know what shows are on, when they're on. You'll get notified, right? So, yes, like, share, subscribe, support. Like, share, subscribe, support. There you go. Easy. Do one or all of those, please.